Test. Test. Yeah, it's working.
Is it working?
Yep.
Okay.
We're real.
So I just don't know on this one either.
This one's lit as green. This one's not lit at all. That should be talking somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm just wondering why that's going. I don't know. As long as you're picking it up, I guess that's all that matters. All right. All right.
Are they working?
Yes. Right? Yeah, but it's recording also. You can hear that.
Let me double check for you.
That might be the only question to which LAN cable has to go where if it's not.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, all. Well, thanks for showing up, volunteers and forced volunteers. So do we want to go to the agenda right in order? This is just the Heritage Fest volunteer meeting, February 22nd, 2023. The first on the agenda is committee formation, the chairs, and then the responsibilities of the chairs. Does anybody want to tee up those thoughts? I know we talked about chairs many meetings ago. Do we remember who was what, where?
I don't remember who was what, but I know you, me, and Carolyn had all volunteered to be chairs of some sort. I refused to be chairperson of the board, but
Okay. Chairperson of the chair?
yeah, chairperson of the whatever
Of the committee?
whatever it is. Yeah. That.
Okay.
So I think I volunteered you, but then after that, I don't remember what positions we had to fill and who was going to do what. That's why I said we would just open it back up.
Yeah. So I think me personally, as we look at it, we got to think about what are the important parts to Heritage Fest. That would be the overall day, the car show aspect, the evening entertainment aspect, fundraising aspect. Is there any other aspects we can think of that would be involved with there? That we would need kind of a chairperson for a committee or a committee for.
What was that? Our show, fundraising.
Car show, fundraising, entertainment. Maybe vendors would be their own separate. Vendors and food could be another committee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, as we know from past experience, the car show itself is actually quite large, right, to organize.
Animal.
Right. Not that the vendors aren't, but those are usually concentrated in one area. So having that and then the food makes sense for food vendors for that. Might be a little bit better use of that time. Yeah. So do we need an overall, or because now we have a full-time, you're kind of our overall coordinator, really. So I don't think we need an overall. So what we'll probably need is a chair for the car show. And I see a red Ram that just pulled up. Thank
Oh, is
God.
that who I was wondering if you were coming?
So a chair for the car show. I know.
Yeah. You need a chair for the car show.
Go ahead. So we're looking for a chair for the car show.
The next one through the door. gets
Welcome,
it.
Wayne. We played the Russian roulette of who's next to raise their hand.
Yeah, it's your turn.
You win. So we were just talking about having a little bit more delegation, having chair run different various committees. So Angela would be our overall point person for the whole weekend. Of course, she's full time now. But we talked about what are the important aspects of it. One would be the car show. and that person would be the chair and then have people working underneath them. The next one was entertainment, fundraising, and then we had one that was the vendors, which includes food. So they would be their own separate thing. So the car show would not have to run anything else or be involved in anything else other than strictly the car show.
Do you need a minute? Should we fill the other slots first?
So again, as chair, and you can develop your own chair and responsibilities and obviously recruit people to help, right? We are, as you can see, a small faction of who's here, right? Last meeting, I told everybody to bring a friend. We have a few extra people, thankfully. Maybe we'll have some more friends as the meeting grows, but that's kind of what we need to work through the event. I'm assuming. So if anybody's interested in throwing their name in the hat for the car, anybody's interested in throwing their hat for the event, the entertainment, fundraising, those, does anybody have a preference or want to nominate somebody?
I would like to nominate Wayne for the car show.
Second that
Yep.
nomination.
Third,
There's only
Fourth.
one Wayne here.
there's only one Wayne here, sir. Would you be interested in taking that nomination?
Yeah, I just be as transparent as possible. This year, obviously, you guys know I'm doing different things, so my time is really limited right now. Unless something changes where it frees me up some more. I mean, I don't mind doing it. It's just I really would have to lean on a lot of people right now to try to help, facilitate some of those things that we need to get done. Obviously, now till, towards the show.
Right.
Even like handing out some flyers and like that. Even when we wanted to do like graphic stuff again, we wanted to do that. I gotta just kind of just give that all away to somebody, and the same thing like parking, I gotta give that away to somebody. Like those kind of things I just can't kind of deal with this year. Just because like I said, I'm very limited on time that you have. So for me, it's more of on my aspect, I'm looking at more for a promoting side of it. Or like, I feel like me and Angela could probably work together and more or less get the flyer aligned and kind of get that thing going and kind of give her the contacts with the DJs and things of that nature to kind of get that all going and those contracts going. And then, I can kind of focus my attention on like getting the cars back here.
And a lot of the daily duties can fall now onto Angela. I mean, that's what she's here for, right?
And I already redid the flyers. We're going to talk about changing them a little tonight, and I talked to the DJ and stuff today. So any of that stuff, I just don't know car guys. So
Right.
that
Right.
isn't going to.
And that's where your experience comes in, no different than the day of, making sure it goes smoothly. But if we have somebody that can handle the fundraising, that can help, you already have all the contacts, but maybe somebody can run through those, put together the package raffles that we did, other aspects of it for the event. Again, it's a matter of delegation.
Yeah,
Right.
I know and stuff like that. It's just same time it needs something to sit there because like I said, it just takes time. Just even one thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which isn't a big deal. Like the basic stuff, like the summit and all those guys, that's easy. So I can do all that.
Yeah. And we understand that. Or I know I do. I think everybody does.
And I
Yeah.
think we're in a lot better position this year to have a lot more competent help. So I think that will make a big difference on the time you have to put in. And like Angela is super Facebook proficient and she can, do all those things. So
Well, and to be frank, and we're going to discuss this later, and we've went over this before. The last 2 years, really, the profit center is the car show, right? That's what helps fund a lot of this. I mean, to the tune of last year of $6,100, right? So we need it, basically. So if we could support you in any way, we're going to support you in that regard. Yep. So do you accept? All right.
thank you.
How about the next one would be vendors and just vendors in general, the vendor area and food vendors. Who wants to organize that? Anybody? Anybody who's got a business downtown that's probably gonna be a vendor?
I will volunteer for that.
Okay. And again, Angela already has some of the food vendor contacts that we even have. Do we have contracts with a couple of them yet, I think, or potentially?
We have 2 people that have it scheduled, and then I talked to 5 or 6 vendors that I passed out flyers to at the Bells who said that they were mailing in their registration already, so.
So thank you for taking on that aspect. The next one would be fundraising. And again, that would ideally be working a lot with Wayne on just basically following up to a lot of what he has and then whatever we have locally.
Can we make that whoever is doing the fundraiser do the raffle too? I think those kind of would
Yes.
fit nicely
Yes.
together. Because I
Fundraiser,
didn't think about
raffle.
the raffle till Wayne said that.
Yeah. The package raffle at
Yeah.
the event.
Yeah.
And any other things. Maybe there needs to be a raffle of some sorts we could do with
Right, yeah.
the concert. I don't
Yeah.
know. So think out of the box, but is anybody willing to run that one? Anybody? There's that, or what's the other one that's out there?
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Anybody? Going, even from the volunteer audience?
I think Carolyn would be really good at handling the raffle and the fundraising. I'm just saying.
Well, she was pretty instrumental in selling a lot of that stuff last year, so I would nominate her too. Was that a nomination on your
It
lips?
was. It was.
I would throw out a
If she's
second.
willing to do it.
So what is involved in that? What would be involved in that?
So it'd be getting with the local businesses, and most of them we already have who we talk to. It's a matter of just following up with them and say, hey, what do you want to do for this year? The other part would be Wayne has a very long list of car community people that basically he would have to follow up with. So you would be supporting the car side and the entertainment side with your efforts, along with getting things together to do the raffles. I can tell you my wife will help you with that because she loves doing that. She did the ones for the daddy daughter dance. She's doing the one for the mother son dance. So she's already said, I'll help. So yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. What's the last one I said?
Entertainment.
Entertainment. And that would be coordinating more should that fall more on Angela? Because that's more contracts and the follow-up for the day of? Because you're handling the contracts anyway. Should that entertainment fall more on you, you think?
I mean, I'm good with that. I think part of, yeah, that's fine. Just, there's like a few other entertainment or event components that we're gonna have to work out too, but I don't know that that's gonna need anyone besides me, like the petting zoo and all of those other odds and ends. But yeah, I don't mind taking that.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't have a problem floating between all of them. My complexity is, so I don't know if anybody knows this, but now they just made me president of the Armada Livestock Committee. So all the way from June through August, I'm pretty tied up with that. So not that I'm not going to help with the other ones, but that's our primary, especially with our 4-H group. But after that, I'll be able to really help with whatever we need for the rest of it. But I'll float between whatever anybody needs. Sound good? All right, so that's the committees. I think coming to next meeting, come with what you need and what you need help with. Maybe how many bodies you think might need to help your situation. Anybody else have ideas of what would benefit the committees? It is, Wayne,
15th and
the
16th.
third weekend in September?
September
September
yep.
16th, and then the Friday night we'll have a band too, so 15th and 16th.
Yeah. So if we switched it from saying specific dates to the third weekend in September, so we can, all of our advertising is, we don't have to keep paying to redo it all. All right. All right, we got about 40 minutes left. So car show, we just kind of talked through that. Do we want to hold off on car show and vendors because we're still brainstorming that, or is there some things you think you want us to talk
Now
through?
that we have committees, we can delegate those things to the committee chairs. like the sponsor rewards was one that I think we probably should get squared away soon if we're gonna start asking for sponsors. Just are we sticking with the same? I updated the form with all the new events or dates and stuff, but I left the sponsor brackets the same, but I wasn't sure if we wanted to update any of those.
Talking about like the different tier levels of what's
Yeah.
there. And I think that would go into the fundraising chair to
Right.
talk through.
So
And we
now-
have a layout from last year, what worked, and maybe think through, do we still want to use that same format? She's got the forms for it. So there's different tiers people could sponsor for the events. Joe Breen is pretty much the car show sponsor. I don't think that's changing. He does that. The rest of it, usually Vinkner's was the title sponsor for Saturday night or the beer tent. And I'm trying to remember the other one. So we had some title sponsors. Then we had what, gold, silver, bronze. It's all pretty much already there. The question is that the format we want to stick with, or do we want to update it at all? And we can help you out with that.
Yeah, now that we have committees, we can do more of that with
Yeah.
the chairs.
And
So,
give you an idea, we didn't get out, Wayne and I, we pretty much did a lot of that. When did we start doing that last year? Was that May, June?
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things for the car show I was having different.
Yeah.
We talked last year, especially on the car show side, just to get the money up front earlier, to do more things with it. I would probably do like Joe, if we could get Joe, I think we did about 1,500 last year. Maybe if you do 15 or 2,000, Pipe Rep wanted to, like, there was a couple big ones. You know, obviously by the time we got to them, their allocation for the year. was
Correct.
used up. So if we started now, like for the car show, I'd say we get 2 or 3, maybe $4,000 of donations, because that would kind of pay for the awards, the porta potties, the DJ, all that kind of stuff up front. You know, if they wanted to do that, so kind of I think that's what would help instead of doing all that running around trying to find these little sponsors, and which kind of hurt last year because it's like, you know, now you're splitting too much time, you know, trying to raise money at the same time and you're trying to do a car show, you know. So, and again, I would, you know, if we wanted to do it more towards charity, I think people would also want to, if you wanted to do something like that too, I think they'd be more apt to pay.
I mean, anything the earlier the better. He's not wrong. I mean, no different than me. The closer I get to the end of the year, the closer my budget runs out. So I think the big thing is, well, the bands, let's skip to entertainment, because we could say what's already been booked. So Sunset Boulevard's been booked for Friday night. Family Tradition Band has been booked for Saturday night. The Sound and Light has been booked for both. So that's called their production company. We got a deal from both bands if we're using the same production company. So it cut down on the band cost by using that, which is going to be helpful. And then you said DG Talent has 2 other bands willing to open. Who are they from?
that is Sunset Boulevard. Their manager has 2 other bands that he said would open Friday or Saturday or both. So,
Okay.
but I think we need to figure out if we're keeping the tent going if we're downtown, are we trying to book all day Saturday with something, or are we solely doing night?
So I think that let's go back then to, location, right? We've talked a lot on where we handling this. And did everybody get the just rough sketch of the map? Was that given out to everybody? Again, this is high level. This is not set in stone. This was just an idea. If you want, can you, what?
They need one.
I don't know.
We're not that fancy. Come on now.
Angela's that fancy,
Right?
but this is an unfancy meeting. So Wayne, you saw this because I think you and I actually chatted on this before. The big question is where do we put the tent at, right? Ideally, this is the DDA and it's to promote the downtown area. The the move from the park has really been what's been discussed, right? Is the park for sure getting redone? Do you know that yet, Bernie? Who knows, right? The park. Nothing's come up. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. So in our last meeting, the consensus is we want to move the event downtown, right? Have it more central to the area. The businesses are involved more during the day. The people are downtown more during the day, getting in and out of the businesses, going to eat, buying from the stores. So I think that was kind of the thought process. The big question is where do we put everything? So this was, again, just high level. The green area is where the car show would take place. The tent would be the yellow area. Yes, that would be required us to shut down the road for a couple days, just that section. We got a vendor area kind of set aside. The thought was right now it's all on one side of the Almont. We want to start incorporating all of Almont. So people are going to both sides of the streets. So that way people are milling around. How do we do it? How do we make it work? There is a spot in there for the petting zoo. I know that's a touchy area. Maybe we can move it a little farther south and talk to Muir. I mean, those are just ideas that are thrown out there.
So I had maybe a suggestion, and then I was talking to Bernie earlier today, and he kind of had a suggestion too. We have 12 new parking spots now that we can utilize for Heritage Festival.
From the lawsuit, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that are like officially ours, so we could put something over there. But I was thinking about reaching out to Tina and her empty lot in between Dr. Lane's building and the Historical Society, and seeing if she would let us use it or rent it for those 2 days so that we're not in the road with the tent and we're still downtown.
That's an idea as well. I mean, that was just thrown out there as a central thing. It could really go anywhere that's in the downtown area, anywhere that's going to filter to people. My idea is we don't want to give up parking space, right? Yes, closing a road is not the easiest, but as long as with it there, we're not giving up parking. If we put the tent there, we're not giving up parking. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that
Well,
was,
if we don't put the tent there, I would still keep that closed and we can have food trucks or whatever there too.
we could do whatever there, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember or not, but last year, people that got the tent from, he was able to get manpower together, and that tent went up the week before. So I don't know if you can count on him coming out, putting it up 2 days and taking it.
We might have to look to a different company, and we talked about that last year. And I don't even know if the guys can be around this year. So I do have a contact with Romeo Rental. We could always talk with them. They supply a lot of stuff for the fair. So, and they are,
Who did it last year?
huh?
Who did it last year?
I don't recall the gentleman's name. He's up like by North Branch area. It got complex because he had nobody to help.
Well, Richie Faze owns a company. I would.
But I
use
don't
him
think
for
he has the size we need. We did talk to him. I think the issue came into the size constraints. I think Richie's is only about half the size as his biggest one. And that's where it comes into. We did reach out to him. And I would rather use him if we could,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
North Branch rental.
North Branch,
Used last year.
yeah. So that leads to some of the complexities. The other part to that is, and we'd have to get Joe for sure, the big thing is electrical, right? If we're moving downtown, electrical. But on both sides of Van Dyke, we got these pretty huge green boxes. It's all electrical. Per Joe, we're hardly using anything because our lights that are we're all run on huge, thick cable. They're all LED, which use nothing. So that means those two boxes, I was basically talking to him when we did the lights. there's hardly any utilization in those boxes. So either side of Van Dyke has a power structure that we could tap into if we need to, which is part of the other reasoning with having the tent there. It was closer to getting power. So yeah, there's still a lot of complexity with there. It's not going to be easy, but
So, and I'll tell you right now, we're going to discuss the petting zoo, the veterans that move away, don't think about putting any animals on their property,
and that's fine.
which we were like, oh.
But the
Okay.
mirror lot behind that,
Right.
we could talk to her,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that would be a good spot too, maybe.
That's why I have the question mark there. It was, again, this is just stuff that came up in conversation. Here's the complexity of what we had last year. We had the petting zoo by the church, which was nice, but as the car show's expanding, they're trying to get animals in and out, trailers in and out. They wouldn't be there by such and such a time frame. We've got millions and millions of dollars worth of cars. Now, no offense to the petting zoo, but we can't have that conundrum, right? So they are better off being located. I like that they're there, but my 2 cents is they need to be not in the mix of what we're trying to do. Same with the vendors, right? That was another complexity last year, moving that around at the last minute, making changes. I'd rather have them have their own space so it's not an issue. That way, people who are running that can just run it the way they need to. My 2 cents.
I agree. I agree too. I think if the food and vendors are, I like closing West St. Clair from Van Dyke to Branch. I think that would be a great spot to have food and vendors. And I almost think you could move the bounce house and stuff to, well, you need power
You need power
by
for
the
that.
petting zoo, but
Correct. And the petting zoo could be a zoo thing, you know, what we just have to make sure that people know to get down there, right? I think they need grass, so having it on cement would be a little difficult. Having them on gravel would be a little bit difficult. So it's got to be someplace with grass, I'm thinking. I don't know. We could ask. We'd have to talk to them first. But I think for us in planning, car show and the event is the primary. If we can make it work, great. If we can't, we can't. You know, like I said, worst comes to worst, they go down to the park. There's plenty of grass there. So
We can condense the small enough so the grass can go, I guess, this way
good.
to get around. I just want to make sure they have enough swings or something, but ropes in there and everything else.
And that's what we'll have to work through. How do we make that work, right? I don't know that answer. And maybe that's not the spot for it. Maybe we got to put it in the parking lot. I don't know. But the nice part to there is, again,
Yeah, like the registration too.
right,
You said, I'm just trying to feel about how they're, these guys that-
right.
So is there a reason we can't put the beer tent like literally at Van Dyke?
We can move it down to Van Dyke too.
And then that way it's not in the middle of the car show technically, so like getting cars around is not a problem.
Yeah. So,
Oh, Lord.
so
yeah.
part of the car people love to be there.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
part of me having it here, it kept the roadways open that was there.
Yeah.
My other thing is, if we have a concert going at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday night, Saturday night, is that going to be an issue with traffic on Van Dyke, right? So it's at least a little bit further off of Van Dyke, so we're not dealing with the gawkers and the people driving by and the noise and all that stuff.
someone driving through it. It's like my fear with it being there is someone just, whipping a
You
right.
can
and
put that out there.
Right. Well,
Oh my
partial
God,
No,
it's
and
so bad.
that
That
was
scares me. If you're like people,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
no,
intersection, people get hit all
Yes.
the time.
realistic.
You know, you gotta remember too, you got IndyCar coming too that wants to be up front
correct.
over there, so.
Correct.
They love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to keep it open for all those reasons. My thought, yes, damage control, some ding dong, that not real. I mean, Wayne and I were almost got ran over by somebody last year because they weren't paying attention to the signs, right? So, and you had a flat tire. So,
It wasn't my fault.
yeah. So anyway, and again, it doesn't have to be there, but that was just the concept that was there. If anybody has better ideas, let me know. If it's going to be an issue with the village people, my village people, if to have that there. But if we think we could shut it down for Thursday through Friday or Thursday through Sunday,
Morning at minimum.
yeah.
Do you want?
Do
Can,
it.
are we open to me reaching out
Don't-
to Tina about that
don't start.
parking, about that parking lot?
Tina Slover, right? Yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of conversations with her about, paying for the insurance on it, and I talked to her. Her daughter's the best contact. If you,
I know. Yeah, I know, Vicky.
yes, yeah, I wouldn't hurt. I mean, reviving that conversation as a use policy, we've talked all sorts with that. So if we can make it work your magic.
I have a question about the church parking lot. Is there the driveways or the entrances, are they both off of East St. Clair, or is there one off of Bristol?
There's-
One off of Bristol.
There is one off of Bristol?
Yeah.
Okay. I just couldn't picture it.
It's kind of confusing because it's also striped as a crosswalk.
Yeah,
so
that's what
A
Right.
lot of time people are walking in it, when people are driving in it.
Yeah, and we might be able to move and again, I haven't measured it,
Yeah.
but the tent might fit between this parking space and this entrance, and it's not an
Yeah.
issue. Won't know until we get measurements and really scope it out. But if people are good with that, then we could start at least getting measurements, tent size, what's going to fit. Talk with Joe, verify the power stuff. If people like this concept, then we can start driving towards it. Or if people don't like the concept, then say it. And
No,
let's
I
come up
like
with
it.
another
I would
idea.
only add, I think it would be good to put the food trucks over on West St. Clair by the vendors. To get people over to the vendors, to get people just across the road, because people will go where the food is, food trucks, people are bananas. So I think it will help get people across the road to see the other things too. And to visit businesses, not that, Rain Dazzles would probably be the only business they're going to visit on that side of the road, but to get them over there.
So my thought is.
Oh, you'll be over there too.
The
That's right.
opposite. I was thinking that food should be close to the beer tent and to the car show, because most of the people are at the car show, and then beer tent visitors need food.
Well, and my other thought though
And
was.
they shouldn't be walking across Van Dyke.
Was to have the food trucks on the other side so as to not upset the restaurants on the east side. Because
Point
they
as
do
well.
get touchy.
I do like the idea of the cars on one side of Van Dyke.
Yes.
And everything else, food trucks, petting zoo, vendors, like on the other side of Van Dyke. Instead of having it kind of mixed in,
Then
I like the idea of the cars on one side and the other stuff on the other side.
I'll say just from the brief conversations I've had with a few food trucks, like the Polish food truck does not want to be by the beer tent because they didn't have good success. They only want to be by the car show during the day. They don't want to be at night. But then I also have people that aren't interested in during the day. They're only interested in being over by the beer tent at night. So I hope
Well,
that
and-
if we had enough, we might not have the same people there during the day as we do
So-
over by the beer tent.
And
at
once the
night.
cars are gone at night, we certainly can put other food trucks over there by the beer tent at
Yeah,
night for
we
sure.
could, if they're mobile,
Mhm.
they can go now in that
Yeah.
spot where we had cars
Yeah,
and
once
go
we get
from here
cars
to
out,
here.
for sure.
That's potential. Or is there any ideas that maybe the vendors might want to stick around longer than the car show? Do you think vendors may want to be open till the start of the concert or that time frame? I don't know.
I know, I wouldn't.
That's a long
Yeah, I
day.
don't
I don't,
So-
I'm just
That was a
asking.
long day.
It's a long day.
I'm
yeah.
asking.
Even from when
That's
we
my
had our
opinion.
tent up, it was a long day,
Okay.
just 9 to 3 or whatever we were there. It was-
Okay. All right. So do we want to trudge forward on this concept and try to prove it out? Or do we
Oh.
want to do something else?
Sorry, I like downtown.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that the
Downtown.
consensus? Everybody raise your
Well,
hands for
yes.
downtown. Everybody raise your hands for not downtown. There we go. It's unanimous. With us moving the beer tent, we kind of chatted before, Lions are willing to still do the beer for us? Okay, all right. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we briefly talked about seeing if we could find a shuttle so we can park at the high school and shuttle back and forth. I started talking to Kara about that
It's
at
Kara.
Bus Garage
Okay,
with Dean. So, I'm trying to I'll have a cost by the next meeting and we can discuss if that is viable or not. But I think that would open up a ton of parking.
It would. So I don't know if everybody knows this. I don't know if it was public last year, but we did have, it all fell apart at the last minute, but we did have bus transportation. We got the okay from the schools to use the middle school and OP parking lot. High school's busy that day with football. We talked to Dr.
It's gonna be youth
Kalmar.
football all
Yeah.
day.
So he okayed us using that, and we had a route devised and everything for overflow parking there, trailer parking there. We had a bus company that was going to do it, but then all of a sudden they couldn't get the staff. So if we can get that, that'd be great. I think it'd be great to have something like that.
The only other thing I had in here that I would like to move, either no one way or the other, is the green screen photo booth.
It's making my
Um,
eyes twitch.
So what?
He is in Elmont. He's local. We've used him for the school, for the PTA before. He has a open air kiosk photo booth that is a green screen, and so he can put any picture behind it. So I was thinking the Historical Society would be a cool place, and Jim Wade said he could find like a few options of downtown Elmont throughout the years.
I think the coolest thing would be what we've talked about putting on the side of the buildings, like just the new Elmont logo with like the pin drop with the heart. That'd be such a cool background.
So cute.
I would love that.
So where was I going? Oh, so people could take pictures and then the background would be whatever downtown Elmont they wanted in their picture. And he
So-
prints them out, gets them to you.
Would that be a charge to the people getting the pictures? Would the photo booth be a sponsored event? How would that work?
Well, we could, for 5 hours, it's $1,100. We would charge people, and then I was kind of thinking that anything we made over that the Historical Society could use like as a fundraiser
So we
for
could
them.
make it a fundraiser for them.
But
And I think people wouldn't have a problem paying if it was a fundraiser for the Historical Society either.
and I want to call and talk to him, but I wanted to make sure that we were okay with it first, because I think he'll give us a better deal if he knows it's a fundraiser. When we use him for PTA, he gave us a really good deal. So
Side note.
because it was a nonprofit.
Someone needs to be there to collect money all day long too. And be responsible for that money. Unless, does he collect the money? As people pay for their pictures?
It's the only time I've ever used him. We just
Okay.
did it was free.
Just a thought.
But yeah.
Talk through that.
And then, but also super cool, he includes copies of all your prints in a take-home album for $75. And I thought that would be really cute to have, like, copies of all of those pictures just for the Historical Society, for someone to keep.
Yeah, that'd be a
Great
good
for
idea.
Keith.
Put a note on that under, I don't know if that'd be entertainment, but the gentleman that did the drone footage for the,
Yeah, I talked to him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, he
okay, good.
I already gave him the dates and he's super excited.
Cool. The balloons?
Yeah, there was a.
Oh, yeah, that was
a line
something,
of kids.
Was that-
that
Was that
was one of
Sparkles?
ours.
That was
Yeah,
Sparkles.
guys. No, it was a
She's
guy.
It was a
It's
guy.
It's
Oh.
a gentleman.
Can we get fun with
He's very
Sparkles?
tough
And
and talkative.
I know. Me too.
And
She's super
Tootsie,
nice.
she's good too.
Not sure who he was, but he did it last year and the year before.
We could look into whatever, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that would fall under the entertainment side. But yeah, did we have a sponsor for that or did we just pay for that? I don't
He
remember.
is sponsored for it.
Hmm?
She's paid for it.
For just that?
And I don't think it's not on here anyways, that someone specifically sponsored the clown
Right.
/ magician.
Fun with Sparkles, face painting? Or is that?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
she
she
does
does face
face
painting
painting.
too.
clown magician.
So we had her too.
It's the clown magician, I think.
So something to think
She was
about
on
too,
Face Painting.
back to your picture thing, we could do that as sponsor the photo booth for whatever price. That'll help eat into the cost. That's more money that would go to the Historical Society. So maybe either do 1,100 or do 750, cover most of that cost, and then charge $10 a photo, and then you're going to be much ahead quicker, or all of it, and then that way they could hopefully get some more. Just as a thought. And that's an idea for fundraising. We talked about that before. Different sponsors in that regard.
Would he have other backgrounds
He,
as an option?
I don't know how many you get with the package, but he can do anything. Like we did Winter Carnival before COVID with PTA, and he had all different summer themes because like beach was our theme, and they were adorable. Do you have ideas?
Well, I was just thinking kids probably would prefer, more of a fun background, and that's just more revenue, kids and bugging their parents.
Yeah, I'm sure he could probably flip through that pretty quick.
Fun option.
Maybe the standard Almach background is $3 or $5, and then they can do the other ones and pick through whatever they want.
Premium background.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
The premium package.
So we can talk through that. All right, we got about 15 minutes left. What other items did we want to cover with this meeting? It seems like we made some headway.
Well, I can, as far as the social district is concerned, that has no bearing on the beer tent. All of those rules would still apply. Social district really is only for you bought a drink from this restaurant, you can walk around the district with it. But we would still, any rules and regulations that apply to the beer tent would still apply whether it's in a social district or not.
I think if we had it in the street, it would be outside those bounds because if we did the social district, it would just be on that side of the street, which would be in the confines of that parking lot.
Correct.
So,
But if you had the beer tent in the parking lot on Mill Street, I believe that would still be in the district. But I mean, again, it doesn't really matter because if you're going into the beer tent, you can't bring a drink in, you have to purchase the beer there, and you can't bring it out, and you still have to be fenced. So I don't know if that's something that we still, like, I still think it would be awesome to pursue, but it's not going to change anything as far as Heritage Festival in the beer tent.
Agreed.
So,
and again, I think it's a great concept. I sent you the picture. I don't remember who I sent it. I was
Yeah,
at Lake
yeah,
Orion.
Lake
They
Orion.
have one, it was winter out, so it wasn't much going on. But from talking to the owner there of that business, they said it's huge for their business in the spring, summer, fall months. It's just, people love it.
the only thing I worry about with Heritage Festival in a social district is people walk. You wouldn't be able to cross East St. Clair. People are walking around looking at cars. They're not even going to be paying. You know what I mean? They're going to have it in their hand walking around. And I don't know how much trouble we get in for that, what liability we incur if they, I mean, I know as long as you have signs and it's the liabilities on them, but
But if we have the social district in place, that's there 24/7.
all the time, right? Not just for Heritage, yep.
Right. So as long as we got the proper signage, we have the proper signage. It's like anything, we can only control so much. Any other questions, thoughts, comments, things we need to chat on, go over with the event?
I know just one thing that, looking back last year at the car show, the voting slips, we need an easier, more accurate way to
Yep.
calculate, first, second, third, whatever, in
Yeah.
all those categories.
Yeah,
That was another.
that was a process. And I think, if we kept the same going, I'm not saying to do that, but my thought was we should start tabulating as soon as they turn them in, right?
Right in
Where-
that way.
Yeah, where we were doing it at the nth hour.
Yeah,
where,
like there would need to be a person who's just sitting there doing that.
Correct.
Does it have
Yeah.
to be on a slip?
How else are we gonna do it?
Can't you have a QR code with the Google Forms? Have people, no?
Old people.
Which, well, that's, no, that's fine.
Old
But,
people know.
but does it all have to be on slips? Because I feel like even if you cut down a little bit on the physical paper,
Well,
I don't know.
here's my only thing. If we have paper and digital,
That's true.
there were a lot of people trying to cheat the system last year, as stupid as it is.
Yeah.
And there were angry people about,
I don't know
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
solution is, but
Yeah.
whether
We need to
start
think
coming
on
in
it.
sooner or, I don't know, but especially if if we plan on having more cars than we did last year.
How do the more established car shows do it? Wayne?
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, most of them, like I said, they really don't, when you see these local shows, I mean, it's really, they either do like the best show, or they have like judges, they have like armies of people, or, so it's either they have a lot of people, or they're kind of a shoestring car show, it's kind of what they really are, they're never made a kind of, it's really, like, it's gonna have someone there just sitting, just going at it
I mean, maybe
all
if we
day.
started sooner, it will make it easier.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you have laptops.
Right, I mean, we tried it with the laptop,
Yeah.
yeah, that didn't work.
but again, it was our first year doing it,
Yeah.
trying to figure out the best system, and we probably did start too late.
It really, yeah, we should have started as soon as,
If someone dropped the first one in, we should
Yeah.
have been.
we should have been counting that right away, maybe have the cutoff time a little bit earlier. I think we talked last year,
I mean,
of-
people were hovering us,
Yeah.
wanting to know.
Yeah.
When are you
They
gonna announce
were
when are
antsy.
you-
well, and you can see it kept people around. It was kept people interested. They love that, but we even talked last year about kind of honing in a few of the classes to help that out too. So I think it's one of those things, it's a lesson learned, and you're not wrong. We just need to dial it in better.
Right.
Yeah.
QR code ID instead of the QR code that they scan and fill out the document. They fill out the piece of paper. You scan the QR code that's chosen.
That's a good idea. And then it automatically keeps track.
It automatically tabulates which QR codes are you scanning. So you're doing this, you're in control of electronics while everybody
Right.
else is doing paper.
It sounds to me like you just found yourself a job.
Keep
I
talking.
like it.
Keep talking.
I like it.
So, but those are the ideas we need, right? That's,
There you go.
could do a voting booth.
I mean, that's the thing, like in Fort Huron, I mean, they have some cars that just don't do voting. at
Right.
all.
Right.
It's
Right.
just because it's just, as you see, it's
Yeah.
just can't.
Yeah. And we talked about having dedicated judges. The hard part is the bigger the car show, they don't want Joe Schmo judging a car. They want people that have backgrounds, right? So unless we can get some people in here, we'd probably need a good 5 to 7. How many do you think we need judge wise?
Well, I mean,
Like,
you probably, 20 people, cars that-
Right.
last year.
right. So that's where the complexity comes into. Yeah. So,
And that was the reason why the choices was so nice.
Yep. correct.
But again, some cars for people like that, some don't. So it's like one of those same things, it's a trade-off. Some people avoid people's choice car shows, some people love them.
I know everyone loves the awards and trophies and stuff, but just,
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to.
yeah.
Because I mean, there's even like some lawn shows, like some of like you'll hear like I forgot what they call like street machines or whatever they are. It's like everybody gets an award because they just kind of make sure, yeah, you get judged, but I mean, everyone gets an award. But they hack the show because of that. It's just we could do that too. That cuts it down too. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Run through the class,
Everybody gets in trouble.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
It's the world we live in.
Participation trophy.
Yep. Everybody's a winner.
Well,
But that's the same thing, they get big sponsors too. That
Correct.
lets them do that.
Right.
That's why I was saying too, if we could get that up front, we get some heavy sponsors and then spend some money, that changes the whole game for us.
and we started late with some complexities. The earlier we start, the better off it is, right? And as the show grows, the bigger the sponsors are going to want to start to come into that realm, right? And as the show grows, the bigger chance we have in revenue to help offset a lot of the costs, you know? And that's all posted in here, so you can see all the costs. Did they get all this?
No,
They
it's
said
just
the
the
agenda.
agenda. I
Yeah.
can make copies, so.
So, and you can see all that. It's all spelled out in there. And we're happy to share that. I mean, the costs associated with everything that's there. So. Any other questions or thoughts or anything? Bernie, anything from the Lions Club?
No, but if I was a betting man, I would say plan B if you can't find a place to put the tennis courts.
Yeah. So the hard part goes back into, that's not in the DDA area, right? So is the Lions Club parking lot available if we had to? So find that out, because going back to it, I mean, that was done as a gray area to even have it in the tennis courts. So find that out if you could. So in the discussions I've had, if it was deeded that way years ago and part of the original survey, then yes, but it never was. So even though that sliver of land that was given, donated from Mike to the village, doesn't count. It would have had to been in that original map that we drew out for the area. And again, that was an exception there because by the extension of he owned it versus his business being in there, they kind of used that gray area to make it work. All right, just find out. All right, other than that, we got 4 minutes towards the next DDA meeting. We're good on the, what's that?
Break.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
good. Thank you all for coming.
2 minutes.
Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody for volunteering, whether you wanted to or not.